Okay, let's just picture this for a second. Imagine playing back like a movie reel of your past relationships. It can be pretty draining to watch, can't it? That familiar cycle. Maybe you see the really tumultuous one, super exciting, high drama for, what, 3 years? And then just devastation.
Right. Total crash and burn.
Yeah. Or maybe then there was the cold one, the distant partner, the one
Yeah.
who kind of made you feel like your affection was annoying, a burden.
Yeah. That's a common one, too.
And then maybe the most recent one, tender, seemed kind, but always holding back on commitment. Like one foot perpetually out the door.
Always emotionally just out of reach.
Exactly. And when you try to explain this, maybe to friends, the words we often reach for are things like fate or luck.
Right. It's just my bad luck, or I'm cursed.
It feels like that, like you're trapped in this story, this narrative of just misfortune in love, pulling the wrong card every time.
What if we slip that script entirely? What if it isn't random?
Go.
What if that feeling, that trapped feeling, is actually the result of a really powerful, unconscious, psychological thing going on?
Okay.
Like not fate, but maybe a kind of internal radar, one that you've built without realizing it, that actively guides you towards partners who are pretty much guaranteed not to let things actually flourish, not into deep, real, mature connection anyway.
Wow. Okay, so that's a big shift. Not a victim of bad luck, but somehow involved in the choosing.
Cool.
Unconsciously.
Precisely. And that's what we want to dig into today. We want to really unpack that whole mechanism.
So the mission here is to understand that psychological blueprint, right?
Yeah.
Often tracing back to our earliest years.
Exactly. The one that trains us somehow to pick the very people who end up replicating our deepest emotional lacks from childhood.
We need to stop seeing ourselves as just passive characters reading lines someone else wrote.
Yes, and start recognizing the author, or at least the co-author, the part of us that, keeps the story predictable, even if it hurts.
Because recognizing that, that's the first step to changing the story.
It is. And this realization, it usually doesn't hit you like a lightning bolt. It's often more like a slow, dawning awareness, sometimes maybe agonized.
Like something a friend says, or maybe a therapist points it out.
Yeah, exactly. They start connecting the dots between this partner and that partner, and maybe even your parents. And then this really painful truth starts to surface underneath all that conscious longing for love, for stability. We've actually been consistently picking characters who, on some deep level, we must know won't let things work out properly.
That is heavy, because it raises this really uncomfortable possibility, doesn't it?
What's that?
That some part of us, maybe a powerful protective part, has been deliberately, studiously avoiding deep, mutual, reciprocated love.
Avoiding the real deal.
But why? If we consciously say we want stability, we want connection, how can this unconscious thing just override all that? Why run from what we claim to want?
Well, the answer, we think, lies in what you might call the architecture unavailability, and it often gets built way back in childhood.
Okay, the childhood blueprint again.
Think about those early years. They really, they versed us, you could say, in needing to adapt, to accommodate ourselves to maybe a difficult parent, or crucially, an unavailable parent.
Right, because as a kid, your priority isn't necessarily flourishing, is it? It's survival. It's staying connected.
Exactly. You're just learning to navigate the emotional weather around this person who should be giving you constant, unconditional love, but maybe they just don't, or can't.
So if that parent was, I don't know, inconsistent or cold or just wrapped up in their own stuff.
We adapted. We learned to live with that specific kind of scarcity, that feeling, that inconsistency. It actually becomes our baseline for what love feels like. It gets wired in.
Scary. So the feeling of home is actually a feeling of slight deprivation.
In a way, yes. And to cope with that, to manage that chronic instability or lack, a child develops this pretty amazing, though sometimes, disturbing psychological skill.
Which is?
The ability to overlook or excuse or just totally reconfigure the source of their own neglect. They have to.
To survive.
Yes. They have to tell themselves, oh, mom isn't cold, she's just tired. Or dad isn't distant, he's just really busy and important. It's the birth of what we could call selective blindness.
Selective blindness. That really captures it. A survival tool you absolutely needed back then.
It kept you attached, kept you functioning without being emotionally crushed by their limitations.
Okay, it worked then. But now?
Now, Now, as an adult looking for love, that same blindness, that same filter influences every single person you meet on a date.
So if someone actually shows up offering reliable, mature, uncomplicated love,
It doesn't just feel maybe a bit boring, it might feel unrecognizable. Like the signal doesn't register, your internal radar is tuned differently.
it's calibrated for the familiar static,
Yeah.
the jagged edges of potential
Well, that's because
difficulty.
that feels like the start of something. That feels like home. That feels like, oh, this must be a relationship starting.
Okay, this is the pivot then.
Yeah.
If we can accept that our internal dating map is kind of skewed towards familiar pain,
Mm.
then we absolutely have to stop just going with the initial rush, that buzz of charm, the surface stuff.
You have to shift gears. Move from that pure reactive feeling, ooh, sparks, to conscious, almost cold analysis.
Whole analysis, that sounds unromantic.
It might feel that way initially, but the corrective action is pretty straightforward, even if it's really hard to do in practice after a promising date or even a few dates.
You have to sit down.
On your own. Yes, and start asking genuinely frank, maybe uncomfortable questions, not about how you feel about them, but about their internal capacity.
Their equipment, so to speak.
Exactly. The core question, the one you need to hold on to, almost like a diagnostic tool, is this. Do I really, truly, honestly think this person has the necessary psychological equipment to allow for a kind, stable, and emotionally mature relationship to actually develop between us?
Wow. Okay, just asking that question. It cuts through so much noise, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's not about, are they hot? Do they have a cool job? Do we like the same movies?
Nope, none of that. It's about their internal operating system. Can it run the mature relationship software?
This is where we need that deep scrutiny, moving way past, do they make my heart race?
Absolutely. We need to interrogate the candidate, really, on the fundamental building blocks of a partnership. Let's maybe break down a few key areas.
Yeah, where do we start?
Okay, first, equality. We have to look really critically at the power dynamic, even early on.
Meaning?
Could they genuinely be your equal? Or are you already, maybe unconsciously, slipping into the role of the senior partner?
The manager.
The manager, exactly. The one who manages all the emotions, starts all the difficult conversations, the one who's always kind of making up for their emotional shortfall.
Yeah, I recognize that. If you feel exhausted trying to manage their feelings by date 3,
Red flag. You're already applying for the caretaker job.
and caretakers rarely get taken care of in return.
Precisely. Which leads right into the next point. Reciprocal care. Look closely at their actions, their history, not just what they say. How capable do they seem, really, of looking after you sometimes, holding space for your needs, your bad days, your vulnerabilities, just like you would naturally do for them?
Because we often fall for the project, right?
Yeah.
The person who needs fixing or rescuing.
It feels purposeful, it gives you a role, but you're dating a project, like you said, not a peer. So when you need support, when you need holding,
Yeah.
do they actually have the internal resources to step up, or will they just collapse or disappear?
That's a huge distinction.
Yeah.
Because if your default setting is giver,
You will inevitably, unconsciously perhaps, select someone whose default is taker, or at least acceptor. They accept your care beautifully, but the flow is mostly one way.
okay. Equality, reciprocal care, what else?
You have to force yourself, and this takes courage, into future projection.
Meaning imagine the future with them.
Yes, but realistically, take the little problems, the niggles you see right now. Maybe that slight tendency they have to get defensive, or the way they kind of avoid talking about the future, or maybe they're just a bit flaky with plans.
Uh-huh. The stuff we often brush off early on.
Don't brush it off. Ask yourself honestly, where is this specific dynamic likely to be in 2 years? What about 5 years? Or 10?
Oh, wow, that's sobering. It's like
Yeah.
reading the first chapter and seeing the seeds of the unhappy ending already there.
Exactly, because we often operate under this weird delusion that commitment or marriage or just time will magically fix these fundamental issues.
It won't.
It usually deepens them. If they're avoidant now, marriage doesn't cure avoidance. It gives it a legal framework. If they're tricky now, commitment just makes the stakes higher.
So the projection exercise forces you to face the script they're already handing you.
Yes. No wishful thinking allowed.
And this ties into getting past that surface appeal too, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They might look amazing, have this incredible charm.
Absolutely. But you have to drill down. What's their internal reservoir like? How wise are they, really? What reserves of actual stability, of basic human goodness do they possess?
Because life happens.
Life absolutely happens. Illness, money stress, job loss, family crises. When that hits, charm and good looks, they evaporate pretty fast.
Stability and goodness. Those are the only things you can draw on then.
They're the bedrock. Which brings us to the next layer, the deeper maturity check. Because, let's be honest, we often mistake chaos for passion.
Oh, definitely. It's seductive, right? That sharp wit. Maybe they have big emotional swings, this whole air of drama around them.
It feels exciting, high stakes. And maybe back in childhood, high stakes and intense emotion got tangled up with what we thought love was.
So drama feels like intensity, which feels like love.
Kinda. But we have to ask the adult question now. Can they ever actually stop acting like a child, emotionally speaking, and meet you as a fellow adult?
Because real adulthood, mature love.
Yeah.
It's often kind of boring by comparison.
Well, it requires consistency, reliability, emotional regulation, and yeah, maybe that seems less thrilling than constant crisis, but consistency is the foundation for mature love. You can't build anything lasting on constant drama.
Okay, what about the opposite? Not drama, but distance. Melancholy.
Ah, yes, the allure of the distant, melancholic soul.
We get drawn in, right? We sense this deep, maybe romantic complexity. Or this profound pain that maybe only we can understand or soothe.
It's another common pattern, but again, we have to be really honest with ourselves. To what extent does their trouble, their inner world, their sadness actually allow them to engage fully with anyone else?
So sympathy is fine, but...
Sympathy is wonderful, but it's not a basis for a partnership if that melancholy functions like a permanent wall, an impenetrable fortress you can never really get inside.
Okay. And what about careers? Sometimes we're impressed by someone's drive, their success.
Totally understandable. An impressive career shows commitment, focus, discipline. But we need to ask, could that devotion, that drive, sometimes be put aside for the relationship? For your sake, even occasionally.
Because if their focus is always outward work, a cause, some all-consuming hobby.
And never truly directed inward towards the intimacy of the relationship, then that impressive career just becomes another way to be unavailable, a very respectable, socially acceptable way.
It's like they're repeating the pattern of the parent who is always busy with their important job.
Exactly. You're still just getting the emotional leftovers, even if the reason seems more admirable this time.
So, boiling it all down, we have to frame this decision with real seriousness, like life-altering seriousness.
Yes. Forget the butterflies for a minute. Ask, if my life, my emotional well-being, depended on making a wise, rational choice right now?
And it kind of does.
It absolutely does, in a way. Should I be proceeding down this path with this specific person? Is this the wisest bet for my future happiness?
That's a powerful lens.
And to make that choice well, to finally break that old cycle, we need to basically activate new senses, develop new ways of perceiving.
You use this great metaphor. Like developing ears as sensitive as a rabbit's.
Yeah, attuned to the slightest little rustle in the emotional undergrowth. Those tiny warning signs we used to ignore or explain away.
Okay, so what are these telltale sounds now? What are we listening for?
We're listening for emotional withholding, those subtle shutdowns. We're listening for immaturity that tries to pass itself off as just being quirky or fun. We're listening for trickiness, that slightly manipulative edge maybe that they use to keep control of the dynamic. And we're listening for stuckness.
Stuckness.
Yeah, like an inability or maybe even a refusal to evolve, to grow past their current emotional patterns or coping mechanisms.
Those are the quiet sounds of someone who just can't or won't participate in a mature, evolving bond.
Yeah, that's the idea. These are the signals that the old script is trying to play out again.
And realizing that.
Yeah.
It helps us redefine what we're actually looking for, doesn't it? Because for so long, maybe we thought we were looking for love, but we were settling for substitutes. We mistook intensity for intimacy.
We claimed we wanted love, but maybe unconsciously we were actually seeking out the familiar drama of, I don't know, ecstatic torment.
Or the intellectual puzzle of fascinating indifference.
Or the sheer energy drain of exhausting evasion.
Or even just the known bittersweet pain of abandonment.
These were the patterns we knew, but they aren't love.
So when you start using these new rabbit ears, using this analysis, the whole landscape changes.
It really does. You're not scanning the horizon for the ghost of your past anymore.
You're looking for a reliable future, someone present.
Exactly. And the amazing thing, a really hopeful thing, is that this ability, this shift from just blind instinctual feeling to a conscious, mature assessment, it's a faculty. It's like a muscle.
A muscle you can develop.
Absolutely. You should take real pride, actually, in flexing your newly discovered, can this person maturely love me? Muscle.
I like that, the mature love muscle.
It's arguably one of the most important and kindest faculties we can ever nurture in ourselves. It's what allows us to finally tell the difference between the loud noise of childhood drama and the quiet, solid strength of real adult companionship.
Okay, so wrapping this up,
Mm.
what's the core message here? What does this all mean?
I think the core takeaway is, well, it's challenging, but it's also deeply empowering.
Which is?
The deepest kindness you can possibly show yourself in your search for love is to finally recognize the ghosts of your past.
The unavailable parent, the survival strategies you had to...
Yes, recognize them, understand why they're there, and then refuse. Refuse to let them keep writing the script for your future relationships.
Because you're not actually fated or cursed.
You were simply trained. And the wonderful thing about training is that it can be undone. It can be replaced with new conscious choices.
That feels hopeful. So maybe a final thought for people to chew on.
Okay, how about this? If that old destructive pattern finally stops because you start making conscious, mature choices right now, what version of yourself gets to emerge? The one who is finally free to both demand and receive stable, consistent, reliable love. What happens inside you when that old survival mechanism just isn't needed anymore?